candidates who emerged on Saturday was Valentine Ozigbo, former president of Transcorp Hilton Hotels, and he joins me now in the studio. Lovely to see you, and I can see that you've got something there. What is that?
I'm coming fresh from Wadata Plaza, where I picked up the certificate of return. This is the authenticity we're looking for. This actually means there was actually never two primaries. There was only one primary. This is it. Thank you.
And this is the one that the party has endorsed.
Yes,
as the primary.
As the primary, and the only one also covered by INEC. And with these two institutions, that's it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What you needed more than anything else was that document that you've got.
I hope my security is here to protect this. This is very important.
Well, I'm sure there's a replacement if it happens to get lost. But congratulations.
Thank you.
Obviously, there's still a process to go through because we spoke to INEC, and INEC says that what needs to happen now is that the PDP has to send it to them and say that this is who the candidate is, and then they will give their final endorsement.
Exactly.
Well, that's a procedural thing rather than anything else. Would you characterize the conduct of the PDP primary in Anambra State as a fraught one?
It's actually the best I've ever seen. It's actually the freest, the fairest, the most transparent.
Free and fair when the whole thing was split into two different factions?
Hang on, please. I want to change this narrative. It's not the story. PDP had one primary, covered by the national body, covered by INEC, and we all gathered, and all the leadership of the party were there. Peter B, the leader of the PDP in Anambra, was there, the BOT member. There's only one primary. Yes, there is a brother of mine, of ours, who had a court judgment. I felt he could do something, but that can be considered as a primary. What constitutes a primary is where you have the whole complement of the structure with you. So, for me, let's go back to the primary. And this was chaired by the Edo State Deputy Governor with other members of the panel sent by the National Working Committee. And can you imagine where the result was declared, the winner emerged, and even some of the aspirants started clapping? That's how much free it was. It has never happened. For the first time, we had such a landmark, and that's why I must, keep commending that deputy governor who has printed his name in gold because of the way they've conducted themselves. Everything from the accreditation to the voting to the sorting to the counting was done in the open glare of everybody. So honestly, I think we should be talking about the benchmark that has been set in Nigerian politics. That's the story we should be shaping. How did we achieve this? Given the conflicting court judgments, PDP decided to honor the judgment by dissolving the executives and then sticking to the super delegate, the automatic delegates. And eventually, all of this happened, and today, it has made our job easier. The job of uniting the party, getting everybody on board. Last night, I was here at the Transcorp Hilton where, we had a meeting of fellow aspirants and leaders of the party. A lot of them were represented. Even as I went to Wadata Plaza to pick the certificate of return, some of them followed me. It shows solidarity, and for me it's amazing.
Nevertheless, there was an appeals panel set up,
of course,
because there were people who were aggrieved.
Just one appeal, one protest.
Yes, I was told by your party, the PDP, that there was just one appeal against the process, and that obviously that was, if you like, swept away because it didn't have the legs.
No merit.
Yeah, it didn't have the legs, basically. Yeah. Has there been any reaction from the other group that ran a different primary?
I wouldn't know. Maybe when you get there, you find out. But for me, mine is always to build the bridges, get people together and resolve issues, and that's why I'm choosing my words carefully. We need everybody to come on board. I keep telling our people, party platform alone is not enough to win the general election. You need to together. And in addition, those other voters who may not be a member of any political party. And so our quest is, how do we win the main election? And the quicker we can get people who may have issues to come on board, the better. So if I use any particular kind of word to characterize them, it makes reconciliation difficult. And so what I tell people is, like what I was on your studio was yesterday, and I said to, please bring PDP national body, bring INEC, and figure out exactly what happened so you get a clearer picture. Otherwise, if you keep giving airtime to whom is not deserving, you keep getting conflicting messages and confusing the public. So PDP is one family. We've got, one structure, one, primary, and one candidate. And by the grace of God, I am the one.
Okay, well, I mean, clearly, as I said, we said there, I mean, you've got the certificate. So what happens now? I mean, it goes from the PDP to INEC,
yes.
is it?
So obviously, the next step one has to take is to nominate who is going to be my deputy, and file these entries in INEC, and ultimately wait for dates for substitutions and before the window for campaign will begin. So in the interim, we can be doing a quiet consultation, but the real campaign will start sometime in August, in line with the calendar that's been set by INEC.
So that there's a lot of horse trading going on now, people sort of besieging you with all kinds.
It is unbelievable, but it's a good thing. It's always good to be on the winning side. But what I should tell my people, we're not celebrating. This is really not about a win yet. Primary is just about 10-20% of the process. We've had candidates of PDP in the past 3 elections, and this is the 4th one, without a win. So how do we win this time around? That's really the burden that I carry now. How do we get everybody galvanized? How do we get the people at the grassroots to be enthusiastic of the process and what the outcome will become? How do they